17 years ago, one film changed the way we looked at fashion, ambition, and power. The Devil Wears Prada wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural event. From Miranda Priestly's cold stare to Andy Sachs' unforgettable transformation, every moment became iconic. And now, after almost 2 decades of silence, the fashion world is buzzing once again. The sequel is finally here, and the question everyone is asking is simple. How do you top perfection? Back in 2006, The Devil Wears Prada arrived like a lightning bolt. At first, many thought it would be just another workplace comedy, but it quickly proved to be something much bigger. The story of a young woman trying to survive in the ruthless world of high fashion while working under the most demanding boss in cinema history struck a chord with millions of viewers. It wasn't only about fashion, it was about ambition, sacrifice, and finding out who you really are when the world tries to mold you into someone else. The performances were unforgettable. Meryl Streep turned Miranda Priestly into one of the most powerful and feared characters in film history. With just a glance or a single raised eyebrow, she could silence anyone in the room. Anne Hathaway's journey as Andy Sachs gave us a relatable heroine, someone caught between chasing success and staying true to herself. And then there was Emily Blunt, who stole every scene with her sharp wit and biting humor as the overworked assistant, Emily Charlton. The impact of this film went far beyond the big screen. Fashion lovers embraced its style, quoting lines like, "That's all," and recreating iconic outfits. It became a touchstone for discussions about women in the workplace, ambition, and the price of success. For years, fans debated Andy's choices, questioned Miranda's morality, and admired Emily's survival instincts. The movie didn't just entertain, it sparked conversations that are still alive today. What made the original stand out was its honesty. Beneath the glamorous clothes and glossy magazine covers, it showed the real cost of chasing power in a world that never stops demanding more. That's why the film stayed in people's hearts long after the credits rolled. And now, with The Devil Wears Prada 2 on the horizon, all that legacy is returning to the spotlight. It's been nearly 20 years since The Devil Wears Prada ruled the box office. And the big question is, why bring it back now? Hollywood rarely waits this long to revisit a hit, but there's something about this story that refuses to fade away. In fact, the demand for a sequel has only grown stronger with time. Fans have spent years rewatching, quoting, and even passing the film down to new generations. The love for Miranda, Andy, and Emily never really disappeared, only became louder. Part of the reason the sequel is happening in 2025 comes down to timing. Right now, Hollywood is fueled by nostalgia. Studios are digging into their archives to revive classics that left a cultural mark. From reboots to long-awaited sequels, audiences want comfort and familiarity, but also a fresh twist. The Devil Wears Prada is the perfect candidate. It's iconic, it's glamorous, and has a loyal fan base that's been waiting for years. For the industry, it's a golden opportunity, and for fans, it feels like a reward for their patience. But there's more to it than just timing. The world has changed since 2006. Fashion is no longer defined only by glossy magazine covers. Today, social media, influencers, and fast fashion dominate the conversation. Instagram trends can now decide what's in or out faster than any magazine editor. Bringing Miranda Priestly and her world back into this new digital age opens the door for exciting storytelling. How does the queen of old-school fashion deal with TikTok stars and online critics? How does Andy, who once walked away from runway, fit into a world where fashion is both more accessible and more ruthless than ever? A sequel in 2025 isn't just repeating the past, it's reimagining it for today's culture. Fans aren't just curious about what happened to their favorite characters, they're eager to see how those characters survive in a new era of power, ambition, and style. This is why The Devil Wears Prada 2 feels less like a simple continuation and more like a statement. The world has changed, but Miranda Priestly is still not to be underestimated. One of the biggest reasons fans are buzzing about The Devil Wears Prada 2 is the cast. After all, the first movie wouldn't have become legendary without its powerhouse performances. So, who's coming back to step into those iconic heels? Let's start with the most important name, Meryl Streep. Yes, the Queen herself is returning as Miranda Priestly. It's hard to imagine anyone else commanding the screen with such cold elegance. 8. And seeing Meryl return to that role feels like a gift fans have been waiting nearly 2 decades to unwrap. And Hathaway is also confirmed to reprise her role as Andy Sachs. Back in 2006, Andy was the wide-eyed assistant torn between her ambition and her values. Now, nearly 20 years later, we get to see what kind of woman she has become. Did she rise to new heights in journalism? Did she step into fashion once more? Or has life taken her somewhere completely unexpected? Anne's return promises emotional. Deppen gives fans a chance to see Andy's full-circle journey. Then there's Emily Blunt, whose breakout role as Emily Charlton made her unforgettable. She started as Miranda's stressed, sharp-tongued assistant, but fans have always wondered what became of her. Did she finally get to Paris Fashion Week? Did she carve her own empire in the fashion industry? With Emily Blunt's star power today, her role in the sequel could be bigger than ever. And while the returning trio is enough to excite fans on its own, new faces are rumored to join the story. Whispers of rising stars and younger actors being cast hint at a fresh dynamic perhaps. A new generation of assistants, influencers, or rivals who challenge the old guard. This opens the door for dramatic clashes. With Miranda and her team forced to navigate a world where loyalty is fragile and trends change in seconds. What makes this cast lineup so thrilling is the balance of legacy and freshness, or not. Just revisiting the characters we loved, we're watching them collide with a new era. And with new players hungry for their throne, for longtime fans, it's a reunion. For new audiences, it's a modern reintroduction to some of the fiercest characters ever written. So what exactly can we expect from The Devil Wears Prada 2? While the studio is keeping official plot details tightly under wraps, there are enough hints and industry whispers to piece together a compelling picture. At its core, the sequel will once again explore ambition, loyalty, and the high price of success, but this time, the battlefield has shifted. The glossy magazine world Miranda once ruled has been shaken to its core by digital disruption. Social media stars, influencer-driven trends, and online fashion brands now dominate the conversation. And that raises the biggest question. Can Miranda Priestly survive in an era where a viral TikTok can destroy years of reputation overnight? Fans speculate that the sequel may center on the clash between old-school authority and modern digital power. Miranda, once untouchable, may find herself challenged by a new kind of rival, one who doesn't care about tradition, reputation, or the rules of the industry. This sets the stage for high drama, because if there's one thing Miranda does best, it's proving that she is still the most powerful voice in the room. Watching her adapt or refuse to adapt will be fascinating. Andy Sachs' journey is also expected to take center stage. The first film ended with her walking away from runway, choosing integrity over blind ambition. But nearly 20 years later, fans want to know, what did that choice cost her? Did Andy rise on her own terms, or did she find herself pulled back into the world she once escaped? Rumors suggest that Andy may face a professional crossroads where her old life and Miranda's empire collide once more. This setup could force her to confront everything she once ran from, and ask herself if she's strong enough to face it again. And then there's Emily Charlton. In the sequel, her character might finally step out of Miranda's shadow. I believe Emily could emerge as a formidable force in fashion, possibly even a competitor to Miranda herself. Imagine the drama of a mentor facing her former assistant, now grown, confident, and unafraid to play the game as ruthlessly as she once learned from the best at its heart. The sequel has the chance to explore how ambition has evolved in the modern world. In 2006, success meant climbing the corporate ladder. In 2025, success might mean building a personal brand or commanding millions of followers online. By placing Miranda, Andy, and Emily in this new battlefield, The Devil Wears Prada 2 promises a fresh story filled with sharp dialogue, stylish rivalries, and the kind of unforgettable showdowns only this franchise can deliver. Now, let's talk about the question every fan wants answered. When is The Devil Wears Prada to actually arriving? After years of rumors, delays, and quiet whispers in the industry, the sequel has officially locked in its release window for 2025. While the studio has not yet confirmed the exact month, insiders suggest it's being positioned as a late summer or early fall. Release perfect timing for awards buzz and the fashion season. It's almost poetic that a film about style, ambition, power would drop just as real-world fashion weeks dominate global headlines. Production itself has been just as glamorous as fans hoped. Filming kicked off earlier this year in New York City, once again using the city's iconic streets, skyscrapers, and high-end offices as a backdrop. Just like the original, New York is more than a setting, it's a character in its own right. Buzzing with ambition and dripping with style, but this time, the production is also taking the story global. Reports confirm that parts of the sequel will shoot in Paris and Milan, the two capitals of fashion where runways and rivalries collide. These international locations hint at a bigger scope, suggesting that Miranda and her team aren't just battling for influence in New York there. Playing on a global stage, behind the camera, the sequel has brought together a mix of familiar and fresh talent. Returning producers from the first film ensure the heart of the story stays true, while new writers and directors are rumored to be injecting a sharper, more modern edge. This balance between legacy and innovation reflects exactly what fans want. A sequel that honors the original while evolving into something new. Even before the trailer dropped, the buzz was undeniable. Paparazzi photos from filming revealed Meryl Streep striding through Manhattan in a new power coat. Anne Hathaway spotted on set with a sleek, modern wardrobe. And Emily Blunt reportedly filming a major scene in Paris. Each leaked image only fueled the excitement, proving that fashion is still at the center of this story, with production now moving smoothly into post-production. Everything points to a polished, visually stunning release. And if the studio is smart as they always are, with a franchise like this, fans can expect the marketing campaign to explode in the months leading up to release, from teaser posters to cryptic social media drops. The road to The Devil Wears Prada 2 is already shaping up to be a stylish event all on its own. Asterisk. The moment fans had been waiting for finally arrived, the very first look at The Devil Wears Prada 2, and let's be honest, it didn't disappoint. The teaser wastes no time reminding us of the world we once fell in love with, opening with a shot of New York City at sunrise. The camera lingers on glossy skyscrapers, bustling streets, and then those familiar double doors of Runway magazine. A pair of polished heels clicks across the marble floor, and before we even see her face, we know Miranda Priestly has returned. From there, the teaser cleverly balances nostalgia with shock. Anne Hathaway's Andy is revealed in a sleek, modern outfit, confident, powerful, and clearly far removed from the nervous assistant we once knew. There's a quick glimpse of her scanning her phone, suggesting she's now a major player in the media world. Then, Emily Blunt's Emily Charlton appears, striding down a Parisian runway. Every bit as fierce and fashionable as fans hoped. Just those three reveals alone, Miranda, Andy, and Emily, were enough to send social media into meltdown. But the teaser doesn't just reintroduce the icons. It teases the new battlefield. Fast cuts show flashing cameras, influencer events, and TikTok-style runway chaos. We see a younger rival character rumored to be a new assistant, or even Miranda's digital age competitor making bold moves in front of flashing bulbs. The contrast is clear. Tradition versus disruption. Elegance versus chaos. Old power versus new fame. The most goosebump-inducing moment comes halfway through. The screen fades to black, and then we hear it Miranda's voice, calm, cold, and razor-sharp. "Did you think I was finished?" The line alone has already gone viral, proving that even after 2 decades, Miranda Priestly still owns the room without raising her voice. The teaser ends with a whirlwind montage, Andy caught in a heated boardroom argument, Emily in tears backstage. At a fashion show, Miranda walking away in slow motion as camera flashes explode behind her. And then, the title card. The Devil Wears Prada 2. Coming 2025. No date. No spoilers. Just enough to ignite global excitement. Fan reactions were immediate and explosive. Within hours, hashtags like hashtag Prada returns and hashtag Miranda is back were trending worldwide. Fashion blogs broke down every outfit from the teaser, while longtime fans flooded comment sections with theories about the story. The first look did exactly what it needed to do. It reminded us of the glamour, the drama, and the sheer power of this franchise. And if the teaser is this good, imagine what the full trailer will deliver. Asterisk, The Devil Wears Prada 2 isn't just another sequel. It feels like a cultural moment waiting to happen. Few films have managed to stay relevant for nearly 20 years, and even fewer can generate this kind of frenzy with just a teaser. But this franchise has always been about more than fashion. Beneath the designer coats and glossy magazine covers, it's a story about ambition, sacrifice, and the endless pressure to succeed in a world that demands perfection. That's why it still resonates, and why the sequel feels perfectly timed for 2025. The fashion industry has changed, but its hunger hasn't. Today's battlefield is faster, louder, and more cutthroat, with influencers, online critics, and viral trends deciding who rises and who falls. And that's what makes the return of Miranda, Andy, and Emily so thrilling. These characters aren't stepping into the same world they left behind. They're entering a new arena where power shifts by the minute, watching how they adapt or clash. This could be even more explosive than the first film. What makes the hype even bigger is the balance of nostalgia and reinvention. Longtime fans will get the reunion they've dreamed of, but new audiences will see a story that reflects the world they know, where fame is fleeting and power is built online as much as it is in glossy magazines. This isn't just a sequel to satisfy old fans. It's a reinvention designed to spark fresh debates, new fashion obsessions, and maybe even another round of unforgettable one-liners. But here's the truth. No one really knows how this story will unfold. Will Andy and Miranda clash again? Will Emily rise as a rival? Will a new generation steal the spotlight? The trailer gave us just enough to dream, and that's why the excitement is only growing louder. So, the question is, are you ready to see Miranda Priestly back on her throne, or will someone finally knock her off it? Because if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's this: when Miranda Priestly speaks, the whole world listens.